para pemberita yang hadir. Very happy Valentine's Day to everyone. And happy Cap Gomeh everyone too. Saya ada dua isu yang saya hendak sentuh pada pagi ini. Yang pertama ialah seperti mana kita lihat dalam semua berita hari ini tentang isu pemaju projek Sentrio di Bukit Gambir. Ingin saya nyatakan secara jelas dan secara tegas di sini bahawa kerajaan negeri tidak akan berdolak dalik dan tidak akan bertolak ansur berkaitan dengan keperluan pemaju-pemaju membekalkan 30% unit either kos rendah ataupun kos sederhana rendah tertakluk pada kawasan untuk setiap projek yang dibangunkan. Ini adalah polisi kerajaan negeri dan ia adalah tanggungjawab pemaju-pemaju untuk mematuhi polisi tersebut. Di mana sekiranya seumpamanya projek Sentrio perlu dibekalkan unit-unit kos sederhana rendah, maka unit-unit kos sederhana rendah mesti dibekalkan, iaitu pemaju mesti bekalkan unit yang berharga 72,500. Kita tidak akan bertolak ansur. We are very firm on this and we will not be cowed by any developer. And in fact, in this particular case, saya hendak jelaskan, ada berita-berita yang saya baca, kecuali mungkin The Star, at least they call me for my version yesterday, tapi yang lain saya dia orang tak telefon saya. So, saya ingin jelaskan, untuk kes ini, bulan Disember saya sudah terima aduan. Dan sebaik saja saya terima aduan, saya panggil pemaju. Saya mahu penjelasan daripada pemaju. Mesyuarat pertama saya adakan pada 3 hari bulan Disember. Dengan pemaju, dengan kehadiran 70 lebih orang pembeli. Aduan saya telah ambil maklum. Dan saya panjangkan pada pemaju. Dan saya tegas dengan pemaju. Saya kata, you tak boleh paksa mereka untuk apa-apa package yang akan tambahkan kos itu. Kalau mereka rela, itu perkara lain. Tapi tak boleh paksa. Dan untuk makluman tuan-tuan dan puan, pemaju setuju. Kerana dia tidak boleh tak setuju. Kerana itu adalah obligasi dia. Itu adalah tanggungjawab dia. Jadi dia setuju. Jadi apa yang berlaku selepas itu, saya minta pembeli-pembeli yang ada masalah yang berkaitan pergi dengan anggota-anggota daripada pegawai-pegawai daripada perumahan, pergi jumpa mereka untuk selesaikan isu ini. Jadi saya difahamkan ia telah berlaku. Mereka ada pergi, ada cuba selesai, dan kes-kes sedang dalam proses. It is in the process of being settled. Dan selepas itu saya bukan berakhir di situ. Saya memanggil untuk mesyuarat untuk mendapat status terkini. Pada 6 Januari satu mesyuarat diadakan. Pada 13 Januari satu mesyuarat diadakan. Pada 24 Januari satu mesyuarat diadakan dengan pemaju. Saya mau tahu apa status terkini. Dan setiap mesyuarat ini saya diberi jaminan mereka akan patuhi kehendak kerajaan negeri supaya unit kos sederhana rendah RM 72,500 akan diberikan. Jadi saya langsung tidak puas hati kerana dapati bahawa sudah 2-3 bulan sekarang, 2 bulan, tetapi ada banyak kes yang belum diselesaikan lagi. Jadi saya akan panggil pemaju pada minggu depan untuk beri tunjuk sebab kepada kerajaan negeri. I want them to show cause to the state government. Why is it these problems are still lingering? So let me make it clear here. And let me refute some of the newspapers who have carried a one-sided story without hearing the other side, which to me as a lawyer I feel is a terrible thing. You must always hear both sides out. I have that firm belief. In fact, even I'm so angry at this pemaju, I'm giving him a chance to come and show cause. Must always give the other side a chance. I always believe in that. We make it very clear. It is not like we're sitting down and doing nothing. We have looked into this problem, and it is in the process of being resolved according to the developer. So I want to know why there is such a delay and what is the problems that is still outstanding. Let me be very clear about that. This state government will not tolerate any developers, no matter how big they are. They cannot run away from their responsibility. And we, as I've always said, the state government, our priority is to ensure those who are in need of a property gets it, especially those low cost, low medium cost and affordable housing applicants. Alright, that's my first issue. Any questions?
Beri, sekarang ni 75,000 ke 180,000? Tak tahu lagi.
72,500. Itu harga kos sederhana rendah.
So kalau orang dah sign semua, macam mana dapat tunjuk surat?
Kalau you rela, you boleh beli lebih, you boleh beli kapak, you boleh beli renovation package, itu keputusan kamu. Tapi pemaju tidak boleh memaksa. Saya menyatakan dari mula sampai sekarang itu pendirian kita. Senang saja.
Obviously this group that came yesterday, they didn't get the message.
They didn't get what
About
message?
20 of them who came comply yesterday. Obviously they didn't get the message that they cannot be forced.
This group was here on the 3rd of December.
Yeah, they were at the State Assembly too, remember?
Yeah, this group was here at 3rd December.
So they attended your meeting with
Yes,
the developer?
all the two ladies there, the spokespersons for the groups, they were here. So you cannot say that they don't know. They know very clearly. This is the state government's stand, and we have requested the developer to comply.
Well, it seems the state government is going to enforce a new housing rules and guideline next month. Do you think that this case will affect the public confidence that it seems like at the aspect of enforcement, whether the state government has...
No, we are not going. We are very firm about it. There's no such thing as no public confidence in aspect of enforcement. We are going to ensure that the pemaju, the developer, complies with the requirement to give them 72,500. And I think the new policies is a totally different thing from what we are discussing today.
Maybe this, I believe that this problem that has been long-standing in practice over the years, where LMC, even LC, the developers, they were not forced, but they will practice in a way to make them take up this renovation, so-called renovation.
You see, let me just put it very, very simply to this.
They will persuade.
Very simple, like this. When a developer is required to furnish a low medium cost, we talk about low medium cost, 72,500, even low cost for that matter. It is an empty bare unit. Okay, that's what you get. So you will have to inevitably renovate it anyway. So a lot of them say, okay, let the developer do it lah. But that's willing buyer, willing seller. I see your package, I can afford, then I do, because you'll have to do it anyway. Just like me, even if I buy any normal condo, I will have to do all these works. It doesn't come fully fitted. Of course, some do lah, but generally, you have to spend on top of whatever you have spent to buy the unit. So a lot of them will say, the developer, okay, it's reasonable, 20,000. I go out, do the same thing. You do everything, then I just come in lah, and then I can just bring my bag and go in. That is okay, acceptable, but not like this.
But this has been the case, they use other tactics. They don't say, oh, you must sign, but they will persuade them, and if they bring their own contractors, they are not allowed to go in.
Then come and complain to the state government, we will look into it.
Also, the cost of car park, 28,500 for
Yeah.
low medium cost. I think it's a bit too much, isn't it? Too excessive. Because it's already like almost like a low cost house, you know. The cost for a local house is 25,000. This is 28,000 for a car park.
Well, for your information, even our PDC projects, it's about 25,000. That's the price. I mean, maybe Reda can give you the pricing in relation to that. Maybe you want to comment?
Yeah. Okay. Just to address the first question from Opalin. Number one is that developers have to comply with the condition of approval. The approval says that you have to build a certain percentage, you have to sell at a certain price. That condition we have to fulfill. We have to comply. When it comes to renovation packages, because the price is way below the cost of building the low, medium cost or the low cost unit, it's heavily subsidized. The unit is bare. That means it has no tiling, it has very few fixtures, electrical points and all that. So if you were to buy a car and the car leaves the factory without an aircon, if you go and fit the aircon later on, it's more expensive. If the car comes without metallic paint, you repaint the car, it's more expensive. If it's done in the factory, it's cheaper because, you know, whether it's alloy rims, metallic paint, electric windows, things like that. So the same thing for the developer. The developer will tell you, okay, we can do certain things. It's cheaper for you now, during the construction stage, rather than you later on hack up the floor, repaint the walls, cut the door because the door has to be shorter. So all these things, you know, redo wiring and all that. So it is more expensive if you have to put in certain things. So the developer will say, okay, we can do these things for you at this amount of money. So it is up to the purchaser or the person that is allotted the unit to say, I can afford it, it's worth it, cheaper than what I do outside post-completion. It's up to the purchaser to opt for it. Our stand is that the developer cannot force the purchaser to opt for the renovation package. If he thinks it's good value, it's cheaper for the person, it is up to them. But it is obviously cheaper to do it during construction rather than to do it after construction, because you have to hack, you have to repaint, you have to remove the rubbish, you have to take new materials up. Contractors, renovation contractors will normally charge more. Coming to the issue of the car park, I think you can't run away from the cost of a multi-story car park today. It's easily $20,000. And these car parks are accessorized, so forever the unit owner owns the car park lot.
The letter, have you all got it? It's a letter dated today to Dr. Sri Jamaluddin Jarjis, the chairman of Prima, confirming our fruitful meeting on the 8th of February last week, whereby it was confirmed that the federal government will continue to proceed with the Prima projects in Penang, although he did say that they are still in the process of identifying plots. They have yet to acquire and procure plots for the commencement of works for Prima projects in Penang. However, he did say by June, he gave me a commitment, by June he will respond to my queries in relation to this subject with a commitment of at least 3 plots in Penang for Prima projects to proceed. Also at that meeting, I did discuss with him another burden on applicants of low cost, low medium cost and affordable housing, which is the burden of interest rates. You see, when we want to provide affordable housing, from the low cost price right up to the ceiling price of affordable housing, that is 42,000 low cost, 72,500 for medium cost, and then affordable housing 2, 3, 4. They have to get a bank loan. Inevitably, most of the time, that is the position. They don't have that much money to pay upfront. They have to get a bank loan. So we are trying to assist this target group, right, by making sure that the units are at this price range. But when the bank loan is factored in, it is beyond what our efforts of trying to ensure that it is of a certain price range. I give you an example. The next page at the back. This is a typical current interest rate charges by banks. I got this, I'm not a banker, but I got it from a consultant who is dealing in these matters, whereby he advises how to reduce loans, the interest that is factored in by loans and so forth. So he's given me this typical current interest rates charged by banks today. The current BLR, which fluctuates, by the way, is 6.6%. And generally terms that are extended, i.e. a discount averages about minus 2.2. You can correct me if I'm wrong. So
2.2, sorry YB, 2.2 if you take a big loan, you're a high paid executive, I think we'll go on to that afterwards.
Okay,
if you go and ask these people who are buying the 72.5, those people who came yesterday, can they get BLR minus 2.2? They will tell you no. The bank is going to charge them the full
higher.
BLR.
Yeah, that means it's even higher. So it's even worse. But let me put at the most conservative rate. Okay, conservatively speaking, they get such a extension of minus 2.2. The effective rate is about 4.4. So the calculation on affordable housing, 200,000, 90% loan, 30 years. 90% loan, 180,000, 30 years, payment $900 per month. Payable interest is 144,000. That makes your 200,000 unit at the end 344,000. Your 300, 90% loan 270, 30 years 1350 per month. Payable interest 216. That makes your 300 house $516,000. And your 400,000, 90% loan 360, 30 years 1,800 per month. Payable interest 288. Makes your 400,000 nearly 700,000, 688,000. So as a result of the bank interest, our efforts of trying to ensure first-time house buyers get a unit at a certain range, a certain price, is defeated. Because, as you can see, it is actually more, nearly double. So in this letter, and pursuant to the meeting on the 8th where we discussed the issue of interest rates, I've also requested Datuk Sri Jamaluddin Jadi, because he is, after all, the chairman of PRIMA, and PRIMA takes care of affordable housing. So he and I, we face the same problems. And he was principally agreeable with the idea that for this target group, the banks should have a different rate, so as to assist and so as to reduce the burden of interest payment upon them. So in this letter, I have requested formally that the federal government look into the possibility of proposing to the banks that this target group be given a much more reduced interest payment scheme, so that our efforts of ensuring they have affordable housing is met. And I think I would call upon Datuk Jerry to say a few words on this, because I believe Reda Penang has also been making calls to this effect. So,
thank you, YB. We developers have been asked to build low cost, low medium cost. We have many projects, many developers who have built and people want to buy. Orang nak beli, there are buyers. But when they go to the banks, number one, are reluctant to lend them. Why? You are poor. You are from the poorer class, you are high risk. We don't like to lend to you. We like to lend to rich people because we think rich people can pay back the loans. So because you are poor, the banks will charge you the full BLR. They'll charge you not 6.6 minus 2.2, they'll charge you 6.6%. And when we talk to SJKP, Syarikat
Jaminan Kredit,
Scheme Jaminan Kredit Perumahan, SJKP says they will guarantee the loan for the lower income, but they will charge 1% more on top of the loan. So SJKP is going to tambah 1% of your already high interest rate. You are poor, you should be getting help, but the bank is making it tougher on you. They charge you higher interest rates than they charge the rich people. Does it make sense or not? We are supposed to help the poor. Developers are already subsidizing so heavily on the low cost and the low medium cost. Why are the banks not helping out? Because forever we can build, but if they cannot afford to get a loan, or if they cannot afford the installment, this is going to be a continuous problem. If the interest rates were to go down to 1%, actually the installments will go down by a big percentage. And the amounts of loans that the banks should be giving for affordable housing actually is a very small proportion because the loan size are very small. You know, you're talking about 72,000 or 42,000 or 200,000 or 300,000-400,000. They normally give you 70 to 80% loan, not as high as 90%, 70 to 80%. So the amount involved to finance affordable, low cost, low medium cost housing, actually the amount involved is very small. Whereas the whole loan portfolio of banks, 35 to 37% of the bank's loan portfolio is towards property. So much goes to property. Why can't they just contribute to a revolving fund for public housing, subsidize the interest rates down to 1%, and then the poor really get help to be the first time owner. Because the last thing we want is that we build, they take a loan, they cannot afford because the loan is very expensive, and then the property gets auctioned off. They lost everything. That's what we are seeing now. The poor needs the help. The poor are the ones who need the help, but the poor are not the ones who get the help. It's actually the rich who get the help. You buy a bungalow, the bank charges you low interest rate. You buy a low cost house, the bank charges you the highest interest rate. Where got meaning? Yeah, back to you, RB.
Yes. Thank you, Dr. Jerry. I think you share the same sentiment as the state government because we are trying very hard to ensure that those who are needy, who need a roof and shelter over their heads, get such units. But unfortunately, our efforts might be in vain if the banks continue to impose such high interest charges. So that's why officially, in fact, we discussed on the 8th, and he seemed very amenable. But I think this is for the federal government to step in and have dialogue or discussions with the banking sector, and I hope he will respond positively to my letter. Okay. Okay, I think that's all.
Merujuk pada yang terima ni, Wadid.
Yes.
Okey, dia sekurang-kurangnya 3 tapak tu. Tapak-tapak tu dah dikena pasti atau
Tidak.
dalam
Apabila saya jumpa dia pada 8 hari bulan tadi, dia nyatakan memang dia pada hari itu dia ada di Pulau Pinang untuk pergi ke beberapa kawasan untuk pertimbangkan sama ada sesuai atau tidak. Dia ada kata di peringkat ni ada satu telah dikenal pasti di bahagian pulau, tapi mereka masih dalam proses mengecamkan tapak-tapak yang lain. Dan dia beri komitmen pada saya bahawa by Jun ini, bulan 6, dia akan balas surat saya dengan satu komitmen at least 3 tapak lah.
Dia dinyatakan tak YB berapa banyak
Unit dia tak bang. Itu dalam surat saya yang saya dia akan beri makmum balas, ada beberapa perkara saya minta lah. Satu ialah pengesahan tapak di mana. Number 2 is timeline, iaitu time frame berapa lama projek akan siap. Dan juga nombor 3, seperti mana dinyatakan oleh Puan tadi, berapa unit akan dibekalkan melalui projek-projek tersebut. Jadi dia akan beri saya maklum balas. Dia kata by June.
berkenaan dengan pinjaman tu YB, itu apa dia punya?
Apabila saya buat cadangan ini, dia memang macam gembira lah. Because saya dan dia, kita mempunyai tugas yang sama untuk pastikan golongan yang tidak mampu ni mendapat rumah. Jadi apabila saya bangkitkan isu ni, dia minat lah dengan idea ni. Jadi secara formal, secara resmi saya tulis hari ini, kerana ini adalah satu perkara kerajaan negeri tidak boleh buat, tetapi kerajaan pusat boleh. Jadi saya harap dia akan ambil tindakan yang seterusnya.
Boleh beri respons ke isu My Home yang diumumkan
Boleh. RM30,000 kepada satu golongan 10,000 orang. Yang itu.
Ya.
Saya ingat soalan yang akan bangkit ialah bagaimana kita hendak pastikan siapakah 10,000 orang tersebut yang akan dapat bantuan ini. Apakah kriteria dia? Ini tidak jelas, kabur sikit. Because pada satu hal dia kata melalui projek ini mereka akan bekalkan 1 juta unit rumah untuk Malaysia. Tak dikatakan di mana, berapa akan datang ke Pulau Pinang. Sama seperti query saya pada Jamaluddin Jadis lah. Sekarang dia ada buat pengumuman 1 juta lagi. Seperti mana saya tanya, berapa akan datang ke Penang. Dan on top of that, ada pengumuman RM30,000 sumbangan akan diberikan, tetapi untuk 10,000 orang saja. Berapa akan diberi ke Pulau Pinang? Di Pulau Pinang siapa akan dipilih? Saya cakap bagi pihak kerajaan negeri Pulau Pinang, I'm sure the same question will be asked by other states, especially if they're not barisan national states. So bagi pihak Pakatan Rakyat di Pulau Pinang, kerajaan negeri, saya tanya, dari 1 juta tu berapa akan datang Penang? Saya tanya, daripada 10,000 yang akan diberi grant RM30,000 ni, berapa akan diberi di Pulau Pinang? Dan kalau di Pulau Pinang, bagaimana kita akan buat pilihan? Siapa yang layak? Siapa yang layak? Ini soalan-soalan yang belum dijawab.